Hi Chris, how are you?
Good afternoon, Rod. Yeah, I'm well. Here we are. It's episode 190. It's the 12th of September. And it's the week of new iPhones and other things.
And other things. It wasn't just phones, was it? We weren't just expecting phones. We didn't get some things we might have hoped for, and we got absolutely everything we expected.
I think, well, we got everything that we got told we were going to get because it pretty much all leaked in the weeks beforehand. It was actually quite disappointing. Normally Apple keeps something up their sleeve, but they are really struggling with the leaks, aren't they? They have not. It must got to be hard, hasn't it? Because they're announcing things like the week before they ship or 2 weeks before they ship. And so there's so much has gone through production and design and boxing and marketing that it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really hard. So this is a special. We would normally have done this immediately after the event, but we're just going to run through the sequence of the event and some sort of post-event thoughts as we go, right?
All my fault because I was away and I ended up watching it partly on the train, but with rubbish signal, I'd missed big chunks of the event.
I mean, not to give spoilers, but I don't know how much you actually missed, you know?
Yeah, normally I'd go back and watch it, and I've gone back and watched one section.
Yeah, it's fair to say in some ways not the most inspirational thing. Should we do this and try and keep the enthusiasm levels fairly high then?
Let's do, but just on that note though, so Apple have just done this event in September. Their last event was WWDC in June. And then before that, I think it was like September last year. They've done very few events, which blows my mind how much stuff they've released. They've released some good MacBooks and stuff. And you thought even if they just do a little half-hour drop, they just don't seem to do very much. I don't get it. They save it up for 2 or 3 big events, and then it's nothing. And I just don't really understand why aren't they doing a little bit more little and often? They command an audience. Why wouldn't they do that? I don't know.
I don't know that they need to anymore. They're not like little plucky Apple anymore that nobody pays really attention to. They've got the media spotlight, whatever they do. If they give one phone to Marcus Brownlee, they're going to still have a massive amount of response. Or if they do an event, I got to say, I'm quite tired of these pre-recorded events. I'd rather they went back to some sort of live on-stage announcement.
I think the pre-recorded could work if they mixed it up a little bit. But they found a good formula when they first did it. It was like, oh, this is good. And they've just literally just cranked the handle each time. You know, every time they're announcing everything around San Francisco, why don't they go to some other countries?
Some of the shots are from Chicago, I got to say. It's not just
Chicago. Why aren't they going abroad? Like really, you know, you've got a really broad audience. Let's mix it up a little bit. Let's get over to Japan or go somewhere in Africa. I don't know. Just do something different and not just superimpose it. But it's all very formulaic, and I think that's a problem.
And it is just one. I mean, it was always a sales pitch, but I think when Steve or Tim stood on stage doing it, you felt a bit more connected with people as opposed to it just being the PR people have written everything down finally to the nth degree.
But they talk you through it, whereas we're not getting as much talking us through what they've got, what they've done, why they've done it. There's just big bits they've completely missed out. I think formulaic would be a good title for the show.
Yeah, I think that's probably one I can agree with. So let's kick off. Obviously no follow-up or apps of the week or any of that kind of stuff this week because we're just going to go through the events as they happened. So they started with a little video on design, and I thought not very well with a quote directly from Steve Jobs about design being integral to everything we do. It's not just looking at the thing, it's using the thing. And that's completely opposite from everything Liquid Glass has done.
But they're not reading the room, are they? I agree with you, by the way. I think some things in Liquid Glass are okay, but on the whole, I'm not really loving it. If you know what I mean. I don't like the principles that they're hiding it and making me have to tap more and taking up more space by moving everything out from the edges. I don't think they've really achieved what they set out to achieve. No,
I agree, and that's it. And now it's just about the look of the thing. It's not actually aiding the working of the thing, which is what previous Apple design did. And with the speed bump of the Ive era, you know, butterfly keyboards, I think Apple have always been quite good at that. Form follows function. It was well designed. The software was built around it, and you could see the logic. And you can see creeping in, example, system settings on the Mac. Their lack of care. They've just kind of decided, oh, it'll look the same as it does on the iPad or on the iPhone. We'll give you the same system settings. It's not very well searchable. You can only expand the window over to a certain size. And that sort of philosophy of, we've decided it's good enough, very much shines through in Liquid Glass to me. Just before the show, we were talking about one of the watch faces, which we'll talk about later. Spoilers ahead. But Liquid Glass to me isn't adding anything to my experience. It's not making my use of any of these platforms better. The first thing I did when I installed the 26 release candidate on my phone was have to change my background because I couldn't read the time on my phone anymore.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? I'm a black and white photography person, as you know, so I can read mine, but I've still got to be careful what I pick. Couple of notes. I think one, Johnny Ive should have retired a bit earlier. I think he was obviously had enough of Apple, and he probably stayed a few years too long. He should have got the Apple Watch out. That was good. You know, what blows my mind, like with the Apple Watch, 10, 11 years later, they're still using the same straps. You know, that is a great design. Stood the test of time. They got it so right. Obviously, they got butterfly keyboards wrong and a few other things. But I agree with you, to use a design quote when you're introducing an operating system that has just been changed for the sake of change and designed by non-interface designers. Frustrating.
Yeah, and for YouTube watchers, I'm showing a toot on Mastodon now from somebody in the Netherlands, showing exactly how legible liquid glass is as it blends across the Apple rainbow, and genuinely that's how I feel. The very light background on the right-hand side of the Steve Jobs quote in this particular image is completely blown out by the light background, and that's a fundamental problem for liquid glass in all of its design elements. But I don't want to go on it too much. I just thought this was a very poor use of a Steve Jobs quote when there was nothing else in this keynote particularly about design. It was just, here's some new things.
Yeah, they really didn't lean in. They leaned in some design on some of the phones with the antennas and stuff, but they didn't really I thought they were going to spend a bit more time on the OS, because not everybody would have watched WWDC, the general population. I thought they might have spent a bit of time explaining their mindset on it, but they haven't, which probably is because they haven't really got anything to back it up, I guess.
Yeah. Should we dive in and do the products then?
Yes, do it.
So first up, they did AirPods Pro 3, and frankly, I think this is the best thing that they talked about all day. I think the AirPods Pro 2 have been my favorite Apple product of certainly the last 5 years. I think it's probably the Apple product I've used more than any other, despite the fact I sit in front of my Mac day in, day out and do work on it. But when I put these things in my ear, I'm always very impressed with them. My AirPods Pro 2. So the updates they've made to these, I think, are solid, and this is genuinely quite an interesting product.
Yeah, I agree. And here in the UK, they cost £219, as you're showing us. I think it's a lot of headphone for the money. They could double the price and they'd still be worth it. I love mine, but I've actually gone away from putting things in my ears, and I've gone for bone conduction when I'm not recording the podcast. I'd love them to make bone conduction headphones with the same tech that they've got, but and I do that more for a lot of dog walking, and because, like I said, I don't like things in my ears. But I do take these in my bag for when I'm on the train and people are being noisy, because they're so small, they're so good, they connect to all my devices. Again, amazing tech that they got right straight out the gate. All they've done is iterate on it year after year, and I think they've done a great job.
I think bone conduction's a bit more niche. I think if you're a runner or in special forces, maybe you might need bone conduction headphones, but most people want to block out the noise that's around them, which is why the ANC, the ambient noise control, active noise cancellation is so important and such a big thing that they've made from these and the previous generations as well. Sort of the big change, they say there is a software update. They modeled lots of people's ears with the new shape. They're a little bit smaller. They fit slightly differently, but the major change beyond the software control of ANC is there's now foam-filled ear tips on these. I have purely silicone ones on my AirPods Pro, so this is probably a quite good thing. They'll push up against your ears a little bit better. They'll seal your ear canal a little bit better, and that sort of physical barrier to noise cancellation is almost as important. You know, the Sonys I'm wearing now and you're wearing are big over-the-ear headphones which block a lot of sound coming in, and then you add to that the ANC, and I think this is the only way you could go with earbuds to do it. I suspect some people will find them slightly more uncomfortable than they did the previous generation because they have got that foam in them, and it will push a little bit harder up against your ears. So,
and I'm guessing that's why they're going to ship with extra tips, you know, so you can swap them out. So I agree, they probably are harder, like you say, not as squidgy, but hopefully the extra tips have compensated for that. I think it's 5 sets of tips they come with. So I think these are great, and if I was wearing mine all the time like I used to, these would be an instant purchase immediately, full price done.
I mean, I'm not going to go and replace my 2s with 3s just for the sake of it. There's nothing wrong with my 2s, but when the batteries go on them, I'll probably buy another set of these. I mean, we see from the rest of the market, we talked about Nothing a few times, the British company, who also make, you know, Android phones and headphones and things like that, and they do a reasonable job. But these are top tier when it comes to in-ear headphones. And you just need to look at the amount of people who wear AirPods Pro, because you can distinguish them between AirPods 4 and AirPods Pro. how well accepted they've been in the market. They're probably Apple's best Pro product. They're certainly better than the AirPods Max. So I think this is a good thing. I think it's a solid update. They also have one new feature, which is they have heart rate monitoring them in as well. Only when you're on doing a workout, though, they don't routinely monitor your heart rate. So if you don't want to rock an Apple Watch, you can do that with these headphones now. So I just a really all-round solid update as far as I'm concerned, and a bit more waterproof.
Yeah, I thought it was good they're doing the exercise tracking bit with them. I think that's cool because, like me, I've given up my watch, but I could be tempted to get some of these just to do tracking. I think that's really good. Yeah, I think they're fantastic. And fair play to Apple. They keep moving it forwards. And what an amazing feat of engineering. And I know all the other manufacturers do something similar, but all of them, it just blows my mind how much they pack into such a small device. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and speaking about features all the manufacturers do now, the live translation thing that they demonstrated is very cool. It always makes me think of Douglas Adams and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and the Babelfish that you stick in your ear, that it can translate, everything that's going on around you. We're not there yet. You need to be blocking a conversation by having some AirPods in your ears in order for this to work. But they showed two demos, one with two gentlemen sitting around a table having a chat, but one speaking English, one speaking Spanish, I think, and that translation, you'd say something, you'd wait awkwardly for a second, and then your AirPods would translate what the other one said, and vice versa. It's not the instant world of the future, but still quite a useful feature. And then the second one was if you've somebody is speaking to you and they don't have AirPods in, you can hold your iPhone up and it will display on the screen what it is that you're trying to say back to them, which is probably as good as you're going to get it at this point.
It's quite cool. It's cool. It's very cool tech. I think it's really good. Whether I'd be comfortable doing this in reality, I don't know, but I think it's very cool.
And of course, the other thing is, if you live in the EU, you're not going to get this yet.
I don't know. Yeah, why is this? Is this?
Well, I guess it's related to the DMC, isn't it? The fact
DMA.
that DMA, sorry, that Europe are being a bit strange with Apple around all this stuff, rightly strange with Apple all this stuff, but thankfully they haven't picked a voting block or a purchasing block where people speak lots of different languages that are actually supported by AirPods. So
it's bonkers, isn't it? It's a shame, isn't it, that feature's not there. Hopefully it will come in good time.
Live translation's cool. I mean, I've never actually used it myself. I've used sort of the lens type thing where you hold it up to a product on a shelf and it will live translate what's on the shelf. I think it's not Google Lens, but Apple have a version of it as well that uses the camera to translate menus and things like that. And that's super useful. The fact that it even maintains the font that it's in always blows me away. So if it's as good as that and as quick as that, then this is something I'd be reasonably excited to try.
Fair enough.
What else have we got to say about that? I think that's it. They're $249, and you've already said they're £219, which seems like almost like the UK is getting a deal for a change.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with our exchange rates, but you used to be more 1-to-1, but whereas we are definitely getting better pricing at the moment. That's not going to last forever.
For this. Watches.
I might have zoned out a little bit in the keynote. Well, I lost signal, but equally, I'm not in the watch market. But what's new and exciting? Will I know if somebody's got a Series 11 and not a Series 10 on?
No. I mean, that's sort of the be all.
Nuanced answer.
That's the be all and end all of it, really. I don't think there's an awful lot of difference between the 9, the 10, or the 11. And in fact, they haven't even bothered updating the package, the silicon in a package. It's still an H10, I want to say, H11. S10 in it. They haven't bothered. For the first time in the Apple Watch, they haven't bothered doing that. And all the watches they announced have the same silicon in chip, which is a bit surprising.
Though, they incremented the number in the SIP package, but they didn't really move it on that much. It wasn't wildly faster. It's weird, isn't it? And I joked with you, it feels like Apple peaked a couple of years ago with the watch, and they've really struggled to move it on in an interesting way, which I find bizarre because it looks the same. It's got most of the same functionality we'd have had 3-4 years ago, but yet they turn out a new one each year. It feels like they churn out a new one each year for the sake of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think this is anybody who's got an Apple Watch 9 shouldn't upgrade. Unless your battery's absolutely toasted, I don't see any point in doing it. And again, I'm an Apple Watch Ultra wearer, an Ultra 1. I feel no desire to go out and buy a new Apple Watch based on this.
Yeah, there's really very, very few compelling reasons, I think. And I used to be excited about getting a new watch, but I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, so not an awful lot of difference. It's mildly more scratch resistant. I think that's all you can really say about this watch is that
it's got 5G though, isn't it?
Do you need 5G in a watch?
You should do. I think you should use it at this point. You should be able to go out without your phone and your watch be a really good first-party cellular experience, but it's not.
I have never had a contract on my watch, and I have watches that support it, but I've never felt any need to pay more money to have a contract on my watch as well as my phone.
So I have had a contract on my watch, and I used to use it. I used to like going out without my phone, but it was just never good enough. The experience was never good enough. Always frustrating, and I just don't think Apple have ever really got there with a true decoupled watch experience. And you would have thought, 11 years in, we'd be there by now.
Yeah, and they're not pushing the silicon forward to enable that. You can't. You still need to pair the thing to a phone. There was rumours a few years ago that it would be ever more independent, and it's never become so. The batteries have got a little bit better, but not dramatically better. Most people are still going to have to charge them at the end of the day, no matter which one. Maybe with an Ultra, you'll get away with a couple of days. It's an odd device, the watch. I think people have fallen into the habit of it being handy, and it's definitely handy to have your car key on there or be able to pay for things on there. But you've already got that on your phone most of the time. So, like I say, I wear an Apple Watch, but I don't really get the reasoning behind it, other than Apple say you're going to die unless you've got one. And they really leaned very heavily into that you will die unless you're wearing an Apple Watch.
I'm still here.
Well, you are, but you're going to have a heart attack, Chris, or you're going to have a stroke, or something. Your lungs collapsed, and the SpO2 sensor in the watch is going to be able to pick up on that. And they've leaned so heavily into that. And in some ways, I quite like that. That it is actually a potentially life-saving piece of technology. Yep. But in another, what a thing to sell. You know what I mean?
So I agree, it's a life-saving bit of tech, and big but here is, it's just not exciting enough. It's too big. It's too clunky for what I want. I'd want them to ship me a band or a ring and give me all of that functionality paired with my phone, because for me, the Apple Watch I thought was a way of me going out the house, leaving my phone behind, but it just never really worked. And here we are, a few years later. Nothing's really happened.
Yeah, it's not exciting. I think others are pushing wearables forward a little bit more. However, Apple have got them, they can be relaxed, because if you look around what people have got on their wrists, it's largely this.
Yeah, 100%. It crazily is this. But I'm not seeing people rush out to buy new ones of these. Same with phones, really. People are more reached a point now where they're buying them as and when things go wrong, rather than more frequently because they want the latest.
I mean, with the watches particularly, you can't really tell anyway. As soon as it's got an always-on display, they all look the same.
Yeah, agreed. You struggle. And the screen sizes change by such marginal amounts.
So you can't tell. So other than it buy one or die was one thing, they've added a new sensor to it. They've got a hypertension monitor now, which doesn't use a new sensor. Sorry, it's not a new sensor. It's just a new adaptation of the heart rate sensor that's already built into the watch. Supported on all models after the 10, I want to say. So the Ultra 2, 10 and up will all support the hypertension sensing. They said in the keynote that this will be subject to FDA clearance. Apparently it's already passed, so this will be a thing when the watches come out you'll be able to have. So the hypertension alert has FDA clearance as of, the day of recording, frankly. So you can get on there if that's something you've been waiting for.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And look, if you wanted an Apple Watch or your one's got a dead battery, it's still a great device. It's a good price point, but it's just not very exciting. If you're a tech person, it's just not very exciting.
No, it's not. You also get a new sleep score, but that's also coming to older watches as well, the Series 10, and other bits and pieces too. So unless you're absolutely desperate for a new Apple Watch, I wouldn't be rushing out to buy one of these. And there is apparently a new space grey colour for the bog standard Series 11, but it's grey, so how can you tell?
Oh, I was hoping space grey we were done with.
It seems not. Right, sticking with the watches and moving on, otherwise we're going to be talking about, we've been talking for 3 hours here. There's a new Apple Watch SE, the SE3. It's available for also £219. This has many of the things we've been talking about already. It comes with the same S10 package. It has an always-on screen. It has a heart rate sensor. This is actually the most exciting of all the watches because it's the cheapest one. Does most of the things that you want it to, and it doesn't feel as compromised this year. They'll do a load of updates next year that will change it, but the fact it runs on the same silicon and has most of the same things is, if you want to buy an Apple Watch for a member of your family or something, I think the SE3 is actually a place to go.
Or if you're only going to use it to track a run or something on a treadmill, you're not using it a huge amount, this is the one to go and get. It's got a slightly smaller screen, but you probably wouldn't notice it. But this is the year to get the SE and sometimes you're best to get it as soon as it comes out because it will be on parity with the watches around it. Whereas 2 years from now, when they're still selling it, it won't be that different. I'm surprised they still called it the SE. I was hoping they were going to call it the, I don't know, Series 11E or something and follow the naming convention of the phone, but it is what it is.
Yeah, you're always hoping for that. I forgot to say when we were on the Series 11, actually, that this watch face, which is called Flow, is a liquid glass special for the Apple Watch, and I think it's the worst watch face I've ever seen, and that's saying something because there's lots of dreadful Apple Watch faces. This is illegible.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? It's just the antithesis of glass. I can't say the word correctly. Apologies.
Is this a 9? I think this is a 9. That's in the bottom. Surely the one thing a watch should do well is tell you the time efficiently. Why on earth would anybody want this in their wrist?
They seem to like to complicate that, though, don't they?
A very average piece of technology with some fairly average watch faces, frankly. Moving along. They also updated the Ultra. It's actually newer this year. The Ultra 2 was basically the Ultra 1 with a new coat of paint. The Ultra 3 has at least been upgraded to the S10 package and a few other bits and pieces as well, 5G. It now will do satellite communications as well, which is new for the Apple Watch Ultra. It starts at £749, and it has a new watch face too, and I think that's about it. They claim it has a slightly better display. It's got a wide-angle OLED now, but I guess you'd have to be really familiar to recognise that.
It's marginally bigger, slightly better viewing angles. Look, this is I always like the look of this watch. I enjoyed it when I owned it. Have I missed it? No. But I think it is a good watch and probably would be the one I'd go for because it is a bit premium, but you probably won't get updated every year as we've seen. And I like the straps. I think they do some great straps with it, to be fair. Apple straps are pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. They're good straps. I still wear the marine diving strap with my Ultra 1. Cool. This, I think, is it titanium or stainless steel, the Link bracelet that the Ultra can come with if you spend a bit more money on it?
I think titanium because the watch is titanium.
Oh, doesn't that scrape the hell out of your MacBook Pro, though, if you're wearing one of these? You get metal on metal grinding on each other when you're typing. I suspect it probably does.
One of us does have a scrape on his iPad keyboard because of that very issue, but not with an Apple Watch.
It's just an observation that I think you want metal on metal action. That's probably not the right thing.
No, agreed. But it's a good watch, isn't it? And it's good they've updated it and they haven't forgotten it. Again, when the Apple Ultra came out, the first one, I think you'd have thought 4 years later we'd be in a different place with it, but we're not.
It's effectively the same thing, and I feel no upgrade my watch again. In fact, I'm getting to the point where I think I might go back to a traditional TikTok round face watch. Yeah, I know you. I know you have, Chris.
Holds his wrists up with his analog watch on it that doesn't need charging and self winds, and it's fantastic.
I have some nice watches upstairs. One of them is a very nice watch indeed that belongs to my father. I find it quite hard to tell the time on it though because it's not very contrasty.
Maybe that's what Apple's been trying to replicate with their watch faces.
Yeah, it's just as good as anyway. Other than that, it's made out of 100% recycled titanium, they say, which is good. But as we saw with that German court case we talked about last week, it's not necessarily doing them any good in terms of carbon offsetting or whatever it is they're trying to do. But I suppose some efforts are good efforts.
Do you know what? There was very little talk about recyclability, carbon, their 2030 goals, whereas they went big on it a couple of years ago. They seem to have walked back a little bit on it, which is disappointing because I thought if any one company is going to actually deliver it, it would be this company. But I don't know. It feels like they're going the other way.
It's not in line with the goals of the current administration.
It may not be, but I don't know. I thought they'd have mentioned it more than what they did.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave that there. I'm not going to make this a political episode. Should we talk about the iPhone?
Yeah. Well, what's our overall view on watches? I think all mediocre updates. It's great that none of them are dead. They've updated them all. That's about it.
It's a C- for me. It's the bare minimum they needed to do to get an evolution out. The SA3 is vaguely interesting. C-, maybe even just a C.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, I would agree with that.
iPhone, another category that's in danger of not getting a very high marking from me either. But starting with a bog standard iPhone 17, this is the workhorse of the line. Some decent upgrades, some solid upgrades in the iPhone 17. We said last year that the iPhone 16 was the one to buy if you needed a phone urgently. Don't go Pro, don't go Pro Max, don't go iPhone Plus. Get a bog standard iPhone 16. And I think that may be true again this year for most people. The iPhone 17 has some upgrades in terms of it's now a slightly bigger display. It's the same one that you have on your iPhone 15, I want to say, maybe the iPhone 16 Pro. It has the bigger screen.
This is just last year's Pro, though, isn't it, basically?
This is just last year's Pro. I mean, you're exactly right. It's got a 6.3-inch screen. It's got ProMotion at 120 hertz. It's got a 3000 nit brightness on it. This is a good phone. I like where the cameras are placed. That's the only difference between this and last year's Pro, is this has only got 2 cameras as opposed to 3, but they have upgraded to the new 48 megapixel sensors that are on these. So this is a really good phone. They've made it more durable. It's got Ceramic Shield 2. It's got an A19 in it, not an A19 Pro, but that's fine. 3nm process, 6-core CPU, and faster wire charging. I mean, I think they're the highlights, really. They banged on about Ceramic Shield 2 an awful lot.
Yeah, so Ceramic Shield 2, big tick, less scratches. I think that's obviously really good. I really like this industrial design. I think it looks good. It's a great looking phone. Shame the colours a little bit washed out in my opinion, but on the whole I think it's a really good phone. And they brought the right things. About time. Always on came down the line, ProMotion down the line. So I think it's really good. Hopefully that will go well. I think that's a good upgrade, because my wife was going, shall I upgrade my phone? I was like, you had one last year. It's probably not worth you upgrading right now, because normally you go every 2 years. And I think next year when she goes, she's going to get some big updates, I think, because she's going to get all of this and whatever they bring next year. So no, I think this is really good.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I think this is this is a solid upgrade. Unlike the Apple Watches, this is a better upgrade. Bringing the screen technology down to the base of the line is definitely the right way to go. Always on, dynamic island, 1 to 120 hertz screen, great. I mean, it's table stakes for a lot of Android phones, it must be said, as we've talked about before. Most Android phones started at 90 hertz, so it's been crazy that Apple have taken this long to do that. Obviously, the market will bear it, but yeah.
I'm amazed they've not pushed the upper end, though, to 240 hertz or done something silly like that.
It doesn't really surprise me. Why spend money when they don't need to? They differentiate the Pro line in other ways, don't they?
Yeah, that's true. But it's a shame the top end hasn't gone up. The lower end's got better, good. But it'd be good to see the top end going up, so that in a few years' time, that's going to filter down the lineup.
They spent a lot of time in the keynote talking about the new selfie camera on the front and that's shared across all the phones, actually. It's gone from a rectangular sensor to a square sensor, and then they do center stage type things with it. So if you ever use center stage, it tries to pick the best shot for the position that you're in and tracks you in the room. This doesn't do that. This just goes, this would have looked better as a wide shot. And will change sort of the aspect ratio of the cut on the sensor based on that. They said iPhone users took 500 billion selfies last year. iPhone users must be a very vain lot.
Yeah, this isn't me, by the way. I might be one or two. I'm not a big selfie person. I take occasionally a selfie with the whole family in it, and you stick your arm out and you try and get you all in there. But I'm probably in the minority here. You see so many people taking selfies. And the selfie camera hasn't really moved along in years. So it was due, even just a resolution upgrade. It's now gone up to 18 megapixels. But I think it is clever. Like, if you're there on your own and then your kids come into shot or your partner, it will expand out. You can get a family shot, job done. It's clever. It's good use of tech. And the way they're using the square sensor, you've got big square sensor in there. And like you say, in that square sensor, you can then do a wide angle rectangle or a portrait rectangle to fit everybody in. I think it's clever tech, and this is what Apple's good at. And for most people, they don't want to manually pick what they're doing. They just want it to do it. And this is what Apple do well. So I think this is cool. Not a big reason for me wanting to buy one of these, but I can see why people would want it.
Yeah, I think unless you really need a zoom lens or you do lots of stuff with video, there's very little reason to get pushed up to the Pro or the Pro Max. Most of what anybody would ever want to do is accessible in the iPhone 17. I think the colours are a bit dull. I preferred the more vivid colours last year. I'm not a man keen on the pastel thing, but at least they offer you an option. I suppose they do in the Pro line this year as well. But yeah, so I think this is a solid upgrade. We always say this about the iPhones, the generic iPhone, that it's a solid upgrade. But it's true this year. I think this is a good year if you want a new iPhone. Again, if you had last year and possibly the year before, because you're USB-C that far back now, there's no mad rush to do this. I wouldn't buy a phone just for camera control, that's for sure.
They didn't even mention it, did they?
No, I don't think that's been the greatest success in the world, the camera control.
No. We should also touch on storage is up to 256 gigabytes. So it starts at 256, then it goes up to 512, which I think is great. Fair play to Apple. They could have kept 128 hanging around a bit longer, I think, but I'm glad they didn't.
I think the reasoning for this, though, is exactly what I've got on the screen right now. Apple Intelligence, which got its first mention on the iPhone 17. which again, is a bunch of features you don't actually need or will use on your phone at this point. However, the models take up space. So in the same way they bumped the RAM in the Macs and the phones last year, I think they needed to bump the space. The time was now.
Yeah, true. Maybe this will be Apple's intelligence legacy, is we got more RAM and more SSD. And it's worth noting though, video playback's gone up 8 hours from 22 hours to 30. That's good.
I want to complain about that. Their measure for battery life on all the devices was video playback. What does that mean? Does that mean you turn off the cell modem and the Wi-Fi and you just loop a video that's on the phone? What does it mean, Apple? What does 32 hours video playback mean?
I don't mind the benchmark they're using, in that as long as they're using it to measure all the phones, so you can look and see which one's got the best or the longest battery life. I don't watch a huge amount of video on my phone, but I've been on the tube lately, and there's a lot of people watching a lot of video on their phones.
Yeah, fine, but I don't think it's a helpful thing. What does all-day battery life mean? Does that mean it will work from 9 to 5 and die at 1 minute past 5?
It's
saying
a bit, wishy-washy, that is.
It's rubbish. What you want to say is it will 6 hours of screen on time running, downloading stuff from the internet. That's what you want. You want a real actual benchmark. Because you and I both know, if you're on your phone doing email a lot and you flip over and you check something in the web browser and come back, very quickly 30 or 40% of your battery's gone. So I don't think it's a useful benchmark for people.
I think it's a really hard one to benchmark because a lot of us use third-party apps.
So in the next phone, which we're going to talk about in a second, they talked about a new cellular chip that did Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and thread radio. I didn't see a mention of it in the iPhone 17. Is the N1 chip in the iPhone 17?
I don't know. I was just, whilst you've been talking, I was looking on their website. So we've got the cellular chip, which we had the C1 in the 16E, which is Apple's internal chip, and then we've got the Qualcomm chip, which is what they've shipped in phones for years. I don't know what's in the iPhone 17.
I think that we're a bit obscure about that. So maybe it has got all the new hotness in it and their own modem, but I don't think so. I suspect there's still a Qualcomm chip in this.
Yeah, because you'd have thought they'd have shouted about it.
Yeah, you would have thought so. Should we talk about what they really did want to shout about?
Let's do it.
So the iPhone Air is a new model this year, replacing...
Hang on. Real-time follow-up. No C1 in the iPhone 17, but it does have Apple's new Wi-Fi chip, which is the N1, so it means networking, which is networking, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi. So
networking, Bluetooth, and thread radio.
Yeah, sorry, that's it, thread radio. Yeah. Why didn't Apple shout about this? Why wasn't the N1 really touted? I was really amazed to read about it after the event. Like, tell us that you've gone and engineered it yourself, and you've put another company out of business because you made it yourself, but it's going to be way better for battery life and you're managing it properly.
Is it though? I guess we'll see. I mean, fair enough. It's about time these are Wi-Fi 7.
It's going to be way better for their margins.
It'll be way better for the margins because they control more of the stack. The new phone is the iPhone...
I did interrupt you. I apologize.
That's all right. The new phone is the iPhone Air. This knocks out the iPhone Plus, which obviously didn't sell very well, which itself knocked out the iPhone Mini, which clearly didn't sell very well. So this is their sort of experimental category as far as I'm concerned, that they're having another go with a super thin phone, and it is very thin. What is it, 5.4 millimeters, something like that?
5.5, 5.6, somewhere around there. But I think they're really struggling, aren't they? You're either a regular iPhone user or you're a pro iPhone user, and they've really struggled at that piece in the middle, and this is an attempt at that. So it's very thin. It's their thinnest iPhone device ever, but not as thin as the iPad Pro that you can currently buy, which is a bit mind-blowing because that iPad Pro is a fast old thing with a massive screen on it, and it's thinner than this.
So we're going to talk about the design of the Pros and the iPhone Air, and we have done before now, about what they call the camera plateau on the back.
Iconic camera plateau.
I don't like it. I really don't like it. And it looks particularly awkward in the iPhone Air. So just to back up before I lose my mind talking about the design, what's quite clever about the iPhone Air is that the guts of the phone are just all crammed into the camera plateau on the back. The rest of the phone is effectively battery, which tells you all you need to know about how much battery this phone's going to have.
I guess it's battery and screen with the ring to do the Qi charging.
Yeah, but other than that, it's battery. There's not even there's no SIM card slot in this little thing. Actually, we should just reverse a second. The American versions of the iPhone 17 also don't have SIM card slots. So that's but the international versions do. However, this iPhone Air is eSIM everywhere.
I think that they need to do it. They need to push the world on. And I know you and I are at odds on this one, but I would rather have battery than a SIM card slot.
How much battery are you really getting out of the space of a micro?
Don't care, I'll take it.
Whatever. Let's move over that. From the front, this looks like every other iPhone. I think it's fair to say it's holding it is where it is. Apple have challenged people in meetings to try and bend it. So when Jerry Rig Everything gets his hand on this, we're going to see how strong it actually is. It has titanium rails, which we were told titanium was the next strongest thing. After Bendgate in the iPhone 6, I presume Apple are sort of fairly careful about this kind of stuff. However, this phone is still going to rock. When you put it flat on the desk with its camera plateau, the one 48 megapixel lens on this sticks out further than the rest of the camera plateau. You can see it in the render on Apple's website. So it's still going to rock on a table. So what's the point in the camera plateau? Why not level the camera plateau off and make it flat?
What's the point of this phone?
That is a very good question.
Up until about 2 weeks before the keynote, I thought I really want I want something thin and light. And then when it's like this one camera, I'm like, don't really want it. Sorry.
No, I think it's a problem for the device. I think it's going to struggle in the market in the same way that the Plus and the Mini have before it. If this is a testing device for the next generation iPhone 20 to be a foldable, they're getting used to the concept of thin, then that's fine. And maybe Apple are using it to see how, small a space they can pack a USB-C socket into. But I think this device is too compromised. When they announced it, they immediately announced a new MagSafe battery to go with it that only works with this phone, pretty much.
Literally didn't take a breath. And so that tells you the battery's not going to be that great.
This is not going to be all-day battery on this device. It's only got one speaker. It's got grills for two, but it's only got one speaker on the bottom, so it's not going to sound very good. The screen is fine because it's the same ProMotion screen that's in the Pros.
6.5 inch, so good size.
Yeah, and it's got an A19 Pro chip in it, so it's going to be toasty in there as well.
It's going to be warm, and it's very much like the chip out the Pro phone, but it's got one less GPU core.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you and I are both of a mind of this, that this is pointless.
Do you know what? Either they should have put two cameras on it, or they should have made the design so different and really futuristic design. And a lot of people say, the new design of the iPhone Air is amazing. It's not a new design. It's a rounded bit of glass with the shiny rails and a back on it. They've been doing this for years. And I think that's what's disappointing. This was an opportunity to do the next version of the phone, and people would pay more to have something that really stood out, but it doesn't really stand out, does it?
It really doesn't. And again, a boring selection of colours. Black, white, what colour? Light gold.
No. We've got sky blue, light gold, cloud white, and space black.
I think our cynicism is coming in. Like I said, a boring selection of colours. People will go white or black, right?
Yeah, probably. I like a white phone, though.
Yeah, fair enough.
Chris holds up his iPhone to the camera to demonstrate the point.
It is eSIM only, which I think is a mistake for some markets and has been immediately approved in China as of today, because the iPhone Air is going to be delayed subject to regulatory issues with the eSIM slot in China. So that's quite a big market you've just potentially harmed there, Apple.
They have, but if they really want eSIMs to take off, they've got to keep pushing, haven't they?
Again, I mean, I'm not going to go into I think eSIMs are a mistake. I think they've got a long way to come for convincing people. They need to make them as simple to swap between phones as regular SIMs are, and then I'm fine with it.
I'm not saying eSIMs are better in a usability standpoint. I just like them because they take up less space, and I want to have more battery.
So that's China causing a problem. However, in the UK, there may be light at the end of the tunnel for eSIM users. This is my provider, SMARTY, who the day after the announcement, I got an email in my inbox telling me if I wanted to move to an eSIM, I could.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, why would I?
I don't know. I've put my whole family on it just because we're all the same. We're all on eSIMs. The future's coming. Let's get on board with it and make sure it all works.
I'm going to paint you a scenario. If we've got time, we're only 40 minutes into this. You're in Barcelona. Some thieving person, takes your phone out of your hand and you manage to grab it back, but it shatters onto the floor. Yep. And you need a phone right now. What are you going to do?
I'll go buy one and I'll install the O2 app and download it.
While you're in Spain?
I have no idea.
Right. Whereas if you've got a SIM card, you can pick that SIM card out of the shattered mess. You can pop it in whatever new phone you've got, and you're up and running with your UK data instantly.
Yeah. This is a problem I'll have to deal with. I don't know.
It's genuinely as a thought experiment, and for people who travel,
to download the app and go, bosh, put the SIM card on there. Because what happens if your phone shattered and you couldn't get the SIM card out? Then you're in a worse position.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, well, possibly. Are you in a worse position? If you can't download the app, I don't know. I mean, I just think in some scenarios a real SIM card is better. If you're someone like Marcus Brownlee and you swap between phones a lot of the time, then you want this to. I think the solution to both of my problem with it and your positivity about it would be a little QR code that can be generated by your provider on demand that lets you just stick it in another phone with no delays at all. And then I'd be happier with it.
I agree with you. I think the whole porting of them isn't better. I'm comfortable with the rest of how it works. I've had no problems with it. So I think we do need to get there, though, because we need to move away from this old tech. Take less space up, please.
Yeah, I mean, old tech is reliable tech, though, right? You know, you still use radiators in your house, I guess.
Yeah. Yep, I do still use radiators, but I don't use a BBC Micro.
You probably do quite a lot with that BBC Micro. Moving on, we'll talk about the accessories that they specifically mentioned with us at the end. We have the iPhone 17 Pro.
Well, hang on, though. So are we both agreed on the Air, though? I'm not sure it's going to fare that well. I think people might flirt with it because it's different and then realise, well, I could either save a few quid or spend not a lot much more and get the Pro.
I mean, we haven't even talked about the price of this thing. It's 999 quid, which is the price of the old Pro. They've shoved the Pros up and they've slotted the Air into that. Yep. I think this is a lot of money for quite a compromised phone.
Like I said, I think it could have been compromised, but really cool design, really out there industrial design wise, but it's not. And I think that's a trick they've missed. For me, I looked at it and thought I'd rather for £100 have more lenses on my camera.
Yeah, so I'm just going to throw out there that Samsung at their event, which we did talk about, and this is 0.2 millimeters thicker than the iPhone Air, and it has many more cameras. It's got 50% more cameras.
It does look like the iPhone, though, doesn't it?
But they did this before the iPhone did. Fairly similar colors, water resistant, 200 megapixel cameras. I don't know what the price of this device is, but I think Apple are up against it in this super thin market that they could have their lunch eaten very, very easily. And I suspect this has more cool stuff in it in terms of faster charging, wireless charging. You know, it's certainly got a zoom lens and all that kind of stuff that the other one doesn't, than the iPhone Air does, you know?
No, I would agree with you. I think it looks a great phone. I think it's odd that Apple are doing a premium phone that looks like the 16E from the back. It's bizarre.
£900 is what a Samsung H25 costs. So it's 100 quid cheaper as well.
Yeah.
I think they're up against it here. I think this is going to be another category that's not going to do very well. Some people will buy them. No doubt some of the podcasters we listen to will rush out to get them to try them.
Most people are going to try them just so they can talk about it, not because they want it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right with that. Now should we talk about the Pro?
Yeah, let's do the Pro.
So the Pro and the Pro Max, we'll just stick them together because there is no differentiation this time. They used to put slightly better cameras in the Pro Max, which is why people used to buy them, but Pro and Pro Max are the same.
Occasionally you would get the new hotness before they could filter it down to the regular.
Yeah. So this changes materials, unlike the rest of the phones. It's an A19 Pro chip in it, hence the Pro, but this made of aluminium again.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? To tell us how amazing titanium is for the Air, and then in the next breath, aluminium's the way we've got to go. It's really good. And it's just like, okay, it's a bit awkward. But it is unibody. It's the first time we've had a unibody iPhone, which is kind of cool. You'd have thought they'd need to do unibody for the Air to make it more rigid. So interesting they're doing it on the Pro. So it's where they mill like the side and the inners in one lump of aluminium rather than gluing. I don't know what they used to do with the parts together. So it should be a very rigid phone.
Yeah, I guess it'll make it more rigid with less flex, which is, I suppose that's what you want in your phone. It's less likely to bend.
Yeah, I think it looks cool. What did get me though at the start of the intro video is they completely redesigned the iPhone. But if you or I or anybody were to look at it, it looks exactly the same. They didn't really redesign it, did they?
No, they didn't. So this is about thermals, is what they were talking about as much as anything else. As well as the unibody, they've designed what they call a vapor chamber, which I think a couple of Android phones have as well, where you've got ionized water or something like that in there. As the phone heats up, it cools the parts that it needs to get to, and it'll cool down again and become water. So
it spreads the heat out, doesn't it? So you're dissipating the heat.
You're dissipating heat more efficiently, and they say aluminium helps with that too. So fine, it should run a little bit cooler, which will help with battery life and throttling chips and all that good stuff. The camera plateau, which we saw on the iPhone Air, is even more wedge-shaped on this. The iconic camera plateau. I don't think this is pretty. I genuinely don't think this plateau thing is a great design.
I I'm just looking at the back of my current iPhone Pro from 2 years ago. I don't think any of them are pretty. I don't think they've got it right. I do like the look of the regular phone with the two cameras on top of each other. Nice minimal bump. I think they've done it really well, and that's the best looking phone they've done.
Yeah, I mean, just talking about aesthetics for this thing as well. I don't like this cutout they've got. What is this for? Is this ceramic shield for the 5G wave or something like that?
Nope. The 5G wave in America is right on the top. There's like a little cutout right on the top of the phone. So the two-tone at the back looks a bit strange. I would agree with you there. I think I'd rather it be in that darker colour of the rest of the body, because it looks like it's got a battery pack on it. But
yeah,
you're not getting a battery pack.
So I don't understand why they've done that. I do understand why they've moved the Apple logo down a little bit. It's for the faster wireless charging, the Qi 2 charging that's built into these things. But that looks a bit weird as well. I think the cases are going to look even more out of alignment now when you put a clear case on the back of one of these.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And when you put a clear case on, it looked like a charging puck because it's white in that rectangular piece. I think it looks all right. I quite like the look of this phone. I like the colours. I like they've gone for strong colours, which they don't normally do. They've only done 3. Sometimes they do 4 wishy-washy ones. So I think they're making some good decisions.
Where's the black, Chris? There's no black phone. There's no white phone either.
I'm all right with that. But how many people actually buy this and don't just literally pop in a case day one?
Yeah, I mean, I've put mine back in a case for no particular reason other than I thought I'd try it with the case again, just so I felt like I had a new phone, because I'm not going to buy one of these at this point anyway. I'm saying that right at the top of the show.
That's so, but I guess, though, in a month's time, you can take your phone out of the case and it feel like you've got a new phone again.
Exactly that. So just to sort of summarise these a little bit, I don't think these are terribly exciting. If you've got a compelling reason to upgrade, you want slightly better cameras because you're a pro or something like that, or your battery's knackered.
Or your children have got their eyes on your phone and therefore they're forcing you to upgrade.
Do you feel the guilt? You do you, mate. But if you've got last year's phone Pro, I don't think you need one of these. I genuinely don't.
No, I would agree. Look, both you and I have got 15s. I'm not even that fussed about upgrading, and my phone's 2 years old. Normally I'd upgrade every year. I didn't bother last year. I'm not as excited this year. I do think it looks cool. I do want a better battery, and these things have got some great batteries in them. I think we should touch on that. Like, the batteries have all gone up, and they're even bigger if you've got the eSIM one, as we've discussed. So that's great. All the cameras on the back are 48 megapixels. Big tick there, I think. I like my cameras.
Can I jump in there?
Yep.
How dare they say this has got 8 Pro lenses? It's got 3. Apple, I can count. It's got 3.
It's got 3, but if you fiddle with them, with their crazy smart engineering, it can be like having 8. So you can have half zoom, you can have 1 zoom, 1x, but the 1x you can also use 3 ways. Then you've got 2x, 4x, and 8x.
This is nonsense. It's got 3 lenses.
I do agree with you, but I like that they've all been upgraded to 48. Yeah. So for me, this will improve macro photography because the wide angle's been upgraded. The 16 Pro was already upgraded, so that would be an upgrade I'm going to get. And now they've upgraded the telephoto, and this is where they've made it a 4 or an 8 for the telephoto. I think this is really good, the stuff they've done. And I use my camera quite a lot. I like taking semi-arty photos with it. So that's probably one of the biggest drivers to me. That and battery are probably the 2 reasons I'm going to upgrade this year. Oh, and my son.
Yeah, well, the sun might be the thing that's pushing it. I'm not going to upgrade. I'm quite underwhelmed by this, really. They've done the usual thing and they've evolved the cameras a bit. And I think going 2 years between phone upgrades is reasonable. Possibly in this day and age, 3 years between phone upgrades could actually become a reality because these aren't exciting. And I think, let's just look at the comparison here. For the price of these things, and Samsung is Apple's most direct competitor. Yep. This is the S25 Ultra, which is their top-of-the-line phone. 3 lenses.
Is that a pencil, I see?
That's a pencil. It has a pencil that slots into the frame of the phone, which is pretty cool. But they offer more interesting colours. They're still a bit washed out, but, there are at least a range of colours that you can have in it. I genuinely think this arrangement of the camera is much better than that massive plateau across the back.
All they're using the plateau for is to give them extra depth to put a load of gubbins in. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, but other companies can do it better. And this is sort of the tension for me. When they started off the keynote talking about design, Samsung were the company that copied Apple for many, many, many years. And it feels like Apple are now the company that's copying Google in the case of where they're putting the cameras and things, and not truly innovating anymore. And not, if you look at the fineness, the well-machined detail that you've got within this top-of-the-end phone, which is of a price with the iPhone. Let's face it, $1,099 starting price is exactly the same for the base model iPhone Pro. I understand why people are becoming curious about the other side of the market, because, I mean, fair enough, Samsung are revolutionary as well. I'm not saying they're doing amazing things here. That's where leading manufacturers are now. But this, jumping back to the Air briefly, isn't revolutionary. This is just building on what they've already done. So I'm just left a bit, my whelmed is under, is what I'm saying.
No, I agree with you. Like I said, I think I've said it already. I'd like the Air to have been a real bold statement in design and the future design, but they don't really do anything. The Pro, I'm a little intrigued with. Like, there's a few things in it I'm looking forward to, and some of it is sadly just better battery. And I do quite like the strong colours. I've had a white phone for about the last 3 or 4 phones, so I am looking forward to that. But I always worry, and I said this to you before, that a lot of what the Pro does, we haven't even touched on video yet, but all of that is lost on me because I don't really take any videos. I do love taking photos, and that's what's pushed me to the 3 lenses. Otherwise, I'd have been quite keen on the Air, I think. But just to try it, and have something different. But it's just not a good. It's so little bit of money just to upgrade and get so much more. That's why I've gone Pro.
That's the Apple trap, isn't it? They try and get you in a niche, and then it's only 50, 100, 200 to push you up to the next one, and you may as well get the better thing.
Yeah, I did even debate getting the Pro Max. It's just too big for me. I've only got hands.
I've had a Pro Max for years now. This is my 3rd or 4th Pro Max in a row, I think, and I understand why I do it, because I want as much battery life as I can get, which is why the Air will never be for me, because I just burn through my phone batteries. But yeah, this is a hard sell, I think, unless you're sort of 3 generations old and you haven't got a son who's pushing you to upgrade to the latest greatest thing. I genuinely struggle to see what the problem is. Apple fans are keen; they'll go out there and they'll buy the hotness anyway. And I'm not calling them sheeple, because I have been one for so many years. There is the sort of attraction, and I feel it myself. It's like a magnetic attraction to sit there on the page and go, "Ooh, I quite fancy a new phone. Doesn't it look nice? Be shiny." But you and I talked about this after the keynote, that when you get the new phone and you do your software restore, and then you turn it over and you flip it on, and it immediately looks like the phone you just got rid of with a slightly better battery. I get that moment of, it's just that this
it's
again.
been that way for a long time now.
Yeah. Whereas the excitement of having a new phone, I mean, when they were coming thick and fast, when we went from the 3GS to the 5 to the 6, with the new design, and they were throwing in new sensors and features.
And there were leaps and bounds, and the form factor changed, but we're just not really getting that.
We're not getting that, and it's not tick-tock, it's tick these days.
Yeah, no, I agree. I am looking forward to it. Like I say, there's a number of features in there, and I will use it. I use it all the time, so I'm happy to a point spend the money on it. Would I have spent the money if my son hadn't pushed me? Possibly not. But equally, I've got a little bit of money in my Apple account where I traded in some hardware, so it's not costing me a huge amount. So I feel comfortable. I also know in the back of my head, if there are some amazing phones next year, this one may well get passed on to another member of the household. As I try and pull everybody up to USB-C and make sure the grandparents have got supported phones. So I have got that in the back of my mind. But no, I'm excited.
Yep, I mean, I get it. I question that you need a Pro phone, though, Chris. I think a bog standard would have done you.
Quite possibly. But I do like play with the cameras. That's probably the thing. And I'm excited to see what the telephoto is like, because you get I never had the 5. I've only had the 3. So I'm curious to play with some of that. Better battery, the cooling as well. The vapor chamber's interesting to me, because my phone gets incredibly hot, and I don't really play any games on it.
You're really going to notice that in your day-to-day.
I don't know. My phone gets really hot. I don't know what yours is like.
You live in your iPad, though, man. Come on.
Do you live in my iPad? Love that thing.
There's some video features which only videographers would really understand. One included a thing called ProRes RAW, which I presume is some means of messing with the ISOs or things like that with the video post-production, rather than have to do it in the camera. It's got better zooms. It records 120 hertz 4K video, which is quite impressive. If you're going to do that, you can buy the new 2 terabyte variant of this phone. I don't even know how much that is, actually. Let's have a quick look. 17 Pro Max in orange is fine. 2 terabytes from £1,999.
Wow.
Don't forget, people that are buying iPhone Pros, you can plug in external storage to them and record straight to that.
Yep. I guess it depends what you're doing with it. I've just gone for the lowest storage because I just keep music and obviously my photo cache on my phone, nothing more than that. And I don't mean all my photos, I just mean the cache of thumbnails. So I've gone 256. It's my iPad where I've got the storage because that's where I will cache movies if I'm going away. Because my iPad's only 11 inch. So it's not really that big to take with.
You know, if you take a laptop, you can take like a thumb drive or a hard drive, or, you know, you can take anything and just watch it.
Yeah. Or I could just take my iPad.
Let's talk about a couple of accessories. So Apple have also, unless you had anything else to say about the phone.
It's good orange, don't it?
It's all right.
I like the orange.
At least it's
I like
something
the orange
bold.
and the blue. I actually struggled this year to pick a colour.
At least it's something different. It's not just shades of grey, which is what they've been the last few years.
That's fair. I haven't had camera control before, so I'm quite looking forward to see whether I actually use it, other than just to open the app.
I don't think you'll even do that with it. I've observed my daughter using it. She's never touched a button.
Nor was my wife.
She got it. She tried it a couple of times when she first got the phone. I've yet to see her use it in real life, though.
Yeah, same with my wife.
Should we do some accessories?
Yeah, why not?
So there's two that I wanted to pull out. The first one is their new range of cases, which are called Techwoven, not Fine Woven. I think the Fine Woven name will never darken our doors again. I'm surprised
that pretty quick.
I'm surprised they've left woven in there, frankly.
What tech has been woven into my case, though? What? I don't know.
I can't answer this either. So they're a rail. It has got a bit of a weave. I presume it's just a plastic of some sort. Is it? It's like a hard plastic.
Hopefully, well responsibly sourced and recyclable. Just leave that there.
It's quite hard to get excited about this, isn't it?
Yep.
What
got me though is there's lots of Beats cases as well this year. They seem to be doing more with the Beats brand. I don't know if the Beats brand is cool with the kids, but I did notice that you can get various Beats cases this year.
Yeah. Anyway, that's your new case, and there's a silicone case as well. And then something I found really odd, but maybe it's big in with a certain demographic, is this crossbody strap, which they showed in lots of their videos and things like this. So this is, if you haven't got pockets, I suspect this may appeal to people who don't routinely have pockets in their clothing for whatever reason, that you can sort of chain this and chain it to your phone, hang it around your neck a bit like a handbag, and you've always got your phone to hand.
Yeah. I don't know who this is for, but not for me. Maybe this is good for my kids so they don't keep dropping their phone on the floor.
I mean, speaking of the person who's stealing your phone in Barcelona, this is going to really enable them to get away with it super fast, isn't it?
I don't think we should pick on Barcelona, but yeah, I don't know. Do you want to skip through the couple of pictures down the bottom because it kind of shows it a little bit better of what it? No, scroll up where you were. Just the thumbnails. You see
Oh yeah.
So I don't really get what this is for. I don't think I could carry this off, but surely some people will. So I guess it's good if you haven't got pockets, like you say. It's good for some people who just chuck it in their bag with their keys and their coins and it gets scratched. So, but this isn't something I would ever buy.
It's surprisingly expensive. It's £50.
Yeah, which seems a lot of money.
What's it made of? I mean, it's not going to be a fine leather, given Apple's attitude to leather, as just discussed. So, it's got magnets.
100% recycled PET yarns.
Okay. Narrow woven straps to drape comfortably across the body. There's obviously a market for this kind of thing. I saw somebody in Sainsbury's with one yesterday, actually. So,
okay.
you know, they're out there that, you know, you don't want to reach for it, or you pick up your phone all the time. Maybe if you're a surveyor or something like that and you're always making notes with your phone and you just want to be able to drop it and get on.
Yep.
You know, I can force myself to think of things. I just think, surely you don't need to go and give Apple 60 quid for something to strap your phone to your body with.
It's interesting Apple are making this and they're not leaving this for third parties. So I'll be curious in a couple of years' time, are they still making these?
Yeah, I mean, it leads for some truly terrible color combos with the cases and the phones and the straps too, I got to say.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that statement.
And that's all I got. Did you have anything else you pulled out of the keynote that you thought were particularly...
I struggled to watch some of it just because of where I was. I think the keynote was okay. I was just disappointed that they just didn't take a bit more time to explain some of the stuff, like the N1 chip and some of that cool stuff they've done. Why not sell us on that? I don't know. I find that a little bit bizarre. I thought it was a very rushed keynote. It seemed very quick. And it, like I say, very formulaic. I just wish they'd deviate from the the formula now. Like, let's see something different with the iPhone Air. Let's do something different with the Keynote, liven it up a bit. Maybe do some live and some watching videos. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It just feels like they keep repeating the same playbook. And they did it with the OS, didn't they? They literally used all the same terminology with the OS as when we got iOS 7. And it's like, you don't just keep repeating yourselves. Do something different. Push us forwards in new and meaningful ways. So that was a little bit frustrating.
Anticlimactic, I think, is the word.
Yeah, which was a shame because I kind of knew I was going to be ordering a phone, so I was a bit disappointed that there wasn't a bit more in there. But there you go.
Do you think the leaks helped or harmed this?
Massively harmed it because we literally knew everything. Like, I don't think they announced one thing we didn't know about.
But do you think even without the leaks, you would have thought these were that exciting?
I think we would have thought they were more exciting because we wouldn't have definitely known exactly what we were getting.
I think we'd have been more excited for the keynote, but then more disappointed that it was so average.
Maybe, but maybe it would have been less average because we wouldn't have known everything going into it.
But I don't think it would have made any difference because let's face it, everything we've been through, with the exception of the AirPods Pro, is pretty much, it's just even the AirPods Pro are a bit of a take along, aren't they? There's nothing, as you just said, we just spent 15 minutes going, this is a C-, this is very average, this is just a bit of evolution, this is tick, tick, tick. This is sort of the underrunning theme, and it's a shame not to be more excited. The reason Apple are the amazing money-making machine that they are is this is what they do now. They can, turn the handle a little bit, make a very slight variation to the thing they do that's a little bit better. 10%, 20%, put that sort of quantifiable number of it. 15 hours of video playback, whatever you want it to be. And we're like, yeah, more. And I think that cynicism is maybe biting me a little bit harder than it has in previous years, given everything else that they're doing. But this is truly, truly barely evolutionary.
Yeah, sadly, I think you're right. It's just, it's moved forwards, and it's worth people upgrading every 2 to 3 years because you will get some big changes. But it is disappointing. I think if Apple did a battery replacement program, and you could just go in and an hour later come back and your battery's been swapped out, people would upgrade less. Because a lot of what drives people to update is their battery.
Totally. Imagine they'd announced silicon carbon, whichever way around it, as batteries at this event, and they said, right, all your batteries are now 3 days long, no problem at all. Then
they would be selling those things hand over fist.
I'd have rushed out to buy one. You'd have bought one for your whole family. You know what I mean? I'm being slightly hyperbolic, but you need an evolutionary change like that to actually have an impact, I think. And this has not been that. This has just been, it's another year. Most people can safely skip it unless your battery's hosed.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there.
There's the title.
Or unless you're like a videographer and whatever they've announced in that realm is for your job. But no, you're right. Most people can skip it.
Or you're a tech pundit and this is for your job. And we've got a podcast, but it's not our jobs. We just like playing with a bit of tech. And I think you're in the right place to do this. This year, I'm not.
Yep, no, that's fair.
I think we call it a show, Chris.
I think so. So, if anybody wants to get in contact with us, Rod is at g5maniac@mastodon.scot. He's also on Blue Sky, where he's at g5maniac.bsky.social. I'm on Mastodon, and I'm at _CGP at mastodon.social. Or you can watch on YouTube by going to the website and click on the YouTube link, or drop us an email at wakefromsleep@protonmail.com.
Talk to you next week, Chris.
Cheers, Rod.